Hi, good afternoon. My name is Joseph Fata, speaking to you live from Ghana, West Africa. And you are welcome to my program, Mining for the Truth, which refers to the process of digging to discover the undiluted doctrines of Christ. I attend Church of Christ. I am calling from my own room. I am in Takrady. I couldn't come to you today because, I went to some place. And without wasting much time, I thank all my viewers from Australia, Nigeria, USA, Dubai, Ghana, everywhere. I thank all my donors for supporting. One person has bought me an AirPod. I would say earbud. I don't want to mention his name. He gave it to me this Thursday, the 2nd May, that I should use it to support. Initially, I thought I was going to pay, but when I asked him later, he said, oh, he bought for me to support the preaching. I said, wow, he doesn't attend Church of Christ. So I'm quite surprised that he patronizes my preaching. God bless you so much, my brother, and may he reward you. May he pay you back all what you have lost in buying the earbud for me. I am grateful. Actually, I went to the shop to buy this same earbud, but I couldn't afford it. It was then 490 cedis. That was somewhere March 2024. I couldn't afford it because it was the highest price among all the earbuds and then the AirPods. So I left, not knowing that God has his own way of wanting someone to buy it for me. So I suppose he bought it about 500 cedis because even March was 490, and now things are always increased. Even a day, an item could be increased, maybe from morning to evening. So God bless you so much. In fact, I appreciate it, and I thank all those who have been contributing and listening. And I have lecturers who have been listening far from Kumasi. And I have teachers. I have a whole lot of people who have been patronizing the program. So God bless you so much, and then I'm grateful. Now, what do I have for you today? Today is teachings. Why worry? Why worry? Matthew 6, verse 25. Why worry? Once again, the camera is in the opposite direction. So all those who will join, I may not be able to see you. But thank you for joining. Later, I will recommend you. Please, you can share ideas on 0248 026557. 0248 026557. If you want to donate the same number, or if you need an account, I will give it to you. You can also comment on the videos. We are learning. Actually, we are learning. So I'll be glad if you comment. If you don't want to comment too, you can WhatsApp. Still the same number, 0248 026557. Please, the same account, view the about, and you find my YouTube channel there. Please click on it and subscribe. I need 100 subscribers to go live also on YouTube. I have 62, so I think 48 left. All right, why worry? Matthew 6, verse 25. Please, I want to check if my camera and everything is working. All right, thank you for your patience. Matthew 6, verse 25. Why worry? I read. Therefore, I say to you, do not be worried about your life, what you will eat or what you will drink, nor for your body, what you put on. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothing? So, Jesus Christ was and is asking us a question. Why worry? So, by the introduction, as I said, this is a teachings, biblical teachings. And this is not about any church. It's a normal teaching. So nowadays I've stopped giving you teachings and some teachings on my church, being doctrines. This is generic, so it cuts across everywhere. Now my first intro is saying that in this lesson, Jesus gives us simple illustrations and common sense reasons why Christians should not worry, since earthly possessions are always at risk. People who seek happiness through riches eventually discover that riches create anxiety and drive away the happiness they seek. Money cannot make you happy in some way. And all what we have. Now, people who have possessions in their homes, they can't even sleep. They have to employ security. Some will have some electrical fence. So what if there's a light out? What means there should be a generator to power the light? And for the thieves, they are very smarter. They can also alter even the light and also the generator. You see. So you cannot sleep. Once you hear some small noise, then you have to wake up and check. Because maybe the watchman or the security person is sleeping. So they don't have happiness. And basically, their properties in the home are at risk. Your life too is also at risk. So therefore, we say that people who seek happiness through riches eventually discover that riches create anxiety, undue burden, or undue stress, and drive away the happiness they seek. There's no way you can be happy with money once again. 2, according to language experts, the original Greek text indicates that Jesus was commanding his followers that stop worrying. Later, he would ask them, why do you worry? St. Matthew 6, verse 28. And why are you worried about clothing? Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They do not toil, neither do they spin. So they don't work, yet God is able to feed them. Now, C of my introduction. Jesus knows it is our nature to worry. Every one of us has worried about something. Yes, this one is true. We have all been worrying. We have worried before. We continue to worry. Many of us have developed the habit of worrying. So this has become our habit, that we cannot live without worrying. But Jesus is saying that stop it. Stop it. Now, let's go to Job. Job 5, verse 7. We have a man called Eliphaz. So let's see what he said. Job 5, verse 7. Eliphaz said something to Job there. So let's see. But man is born to trouble, as the sparks fly upward. So Eliphaz tried to comfort Job that every person alive will have trouble. Everyone alive. If you die, you die. For that one, but once you are a living being, even the animals, they also have burden. So every being or every person alive will have trouble. That was what Eliphaz was telling Job in Job 5, verse 7. Now, my last introduction, point E. Without faith, it will be virtually impossible for any responsible person to face life's problems without anxiety. If you don't have faith, then you can never stop worrying. There will always be undue pressure. Now, definition of worry. So the Greek verb for worry is merimno. M-E-R-M-N-O. Merimno. So the Greek word translated worry is the verb merimno, which denotes to be full of care and anxiety. Once again, undue thinking or pressure. Undue thinking or pressure. Then now, anxiety means a permanent state of worry and nervousness occurring in a variety of mental disorders, usually accompanied by compulsive behavior or attacks of panic. That's the essence of the meaning of anxiety. Is a noun, and it means a permanent state of worry and nervousness occurring in a variety of mental disorders, usually accompanied by compulsive behavior or attacks of panic. So the person will be there, and then at times as if the person is dismayed. And sometimes you see that the person will react. This is a form of anxiety. And at the end of the lesson, at least you know the causes of, the consequences of worry. In ancient times, this word was used to describe intensive or intense worry that kept people awake at night. So, worry in the ancient times was used to describe intense worry that kept people awake at night. So the person could not sleep, or they couldn't sleep. So if you cannot sleep at night, it means you are worrying, and of course it is a form of anxiety. And virtually paralyze their thinking during the day. Well, yes, because normally by nature we properly rest by sleeping. And once again, by nature, at midnight, we all feel to sleep. By nature, unless you decided to go to work. But naturally, by natural order, we sleep properly at midnight. It is when the whole environment and then the atmosphere become so serene. No disturbances. At least the disturbances is minimum, or are minimum compared to during the day. So nature is that at night we must all sleep. When you sleep and sleep well, let me say sound sleep. So in the morning, you see, you wake up with sound mind. But when you sleep with troubled mind, you wake up with troubled mind. Sorry. When you sleep with troubled mind, you wake up and behave in the day in a troublesome manner. That's why we're saying that virtually paralyze their thinking during the day. Why? Because the person worried at night, so he couldn't sleep well. Divided attention, basically. Now, let's see the objectives of the studies. By the end of the lesson, the learner or the listener will be able to A. Know briefly what Jesus was really saying in Matthew 6:25. 2. Comprehend why we should not worry. 3 or C. Know the futility of worry. That's the unnecessariness of, or why worry is unnecessary, if you want to put it, and then know how to overcome worry. So I was just warming up. Let's take them one by one. A. Jesus' real interpretation in Matthew 6:25. What did Jesus mean in Matthew 6:25? Jesus was not opposed to planning. Now let me read it again before someone gets me wrong. Matthew 6:25. Therefore I say to you, do not be worried about your life, what you will eat or what you will drink, nor for your body what you will put on. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothing? So, as a Christian or as a human being, you don't quote this Bible quotation and then become indolent. No. So let's see what Christ meant. Otherwise, some may think that, but the same is saying that we shouldn't even worry about tomorrow. No. Jesus was not opposed to planning ahead, such as buying land, building houses, buying cars, setting goals for future partners, saving for our children's college education, or purchasing health or life insurance. Christ didn't condemn this. So please, you must save to buy land. You must save to build houses or house. You must buy cars. You must set goals that I want to marry this partner. Now I want to marry this man. Now I want to marry this woman. Now I want to marry at this age. This and that. And also, we must also save for our children's education in future. Or you can go to the insurance company to insure your life. Christ was not opposed to planning ahead. He was rather forbidding apprehension. Christ was rather forbidding apprehension. We mean worry about the future, or the fear that something unpleasant is going to happen. We mean fear or anxiety. So Christ was rather forbidding apprehension, not wise planning. Please get this concept well. Christ was forbidding apprehension, not wise planning. This means that we must plan ahead in advance for the future to remedy liability, leading to interdependence. Proverbs 6 verse 6. Let's go to the ants and then learn some lessons here. Proverbs 6 verse 6. Go to ants, O sluggard, consider her ways and be wise. Consider the ways of the ant and be wise. That's how I was saying that. This means that we must plan ahead in advance for the future to remedy liability leading to interdependency. Now, according to the inspired words of Solomon, it is wise to save for a rainy day. Therefore, just as the ant prepares for winter at harvest time, so must we also plan ahead towards the future. So we must learn from the ants. Jesus was saying that we should not fret, we should not worry or become anxious about the necessities of life. God is our Heavenly Father, and as a good father, He provides for His children. So I have now explained the meaning of Matthew 6 verse 25, as Christ said, and as He is supporting me to do so. Now we are on point B. Why we should not worry. Why we should not worry. Because 1, the barren shall be fertile. So Genesis 25 verse 21. Genesis 25 verse 21. Alright, I'm there. Okay, I read. And Isaac prayed to the Lord for his wife because she was barren, and the Lord granted his prayer. And Rebekah, his wife, conceived. Please, I want to still check my camera in case everything is ongoing. Alright, so thank you. One person has joined, but I couldn't see the name. The person who has joined, you are welcome. So as we read, the barren shall be fertile. Genesis 25 verse 21. And Isaac prayed to the Lord for his wife because she was barren, and the Lord granted his prayer. And Rebekah, his wife, conceived. Now, I'll give you the story before we come to the main thing. Now, to provide Isaac with a wife, Abraham sent his servant to Haran to find a wife from among his kinsmen. So we say that Isaac was a full-grown man. Therefore, he had to marry. You are hereby informed that Sarah had died before Abraham prayed that God should provide for his son a wife. He prayed first. Abraham, being a responsible father, prayed to God first. If you go to my videos, I gave a sermon on it, searching for the godly partner. Then is where I have officially exegeted about Isaac and Rebekah. Yes, I use them for the sermon, searching for the godly partner. So Abraham prayed. So after prayer, then he sent the chief of his servants to go to Haran and seek a wife from his own native or from his own lineage. Why? Because he didn't want Isaac to marry a pagan. So the servant was led to Rebekah, Abraham's brother's granddaughter. Now, Rebekah was the sister of Laban, and Rebekah was the daughter of Bethuel, and the granddaughter of Nahor. So Nahor was Abraham's brother. That's why here we say that Rebekah was Abraham's brother's granddaughter. But sometimes we misinterpret it by saying that Rebecca was, Abraham's brother's daughter. Rather, it was his brother's granddaughter. So there's a correction. You see, for Bible, the more we learn, the more we know. So once again, the servant was led to Rebecca, Abraham's brother's granddaughter. So Rebecca was the sister of Laban. I will use this same thing to explain when we reach Jacob. And Rebecca was the daughter of Bethuel and the granddaughter of Nahor. And Nahor was Abraham's brother. Now Genesis 24, verse 24 and 29. Genesis 24, verse 24. She said to him, I'm the daughter of Bethuel, if you want, the son of Milcah, whom she bore to Nahor. Verse 29. Rebecca had a brother whose name was Laban. So that's what I was trying to prove. Now, Rebecca's brother was Laban, officially, as I've said it, as seen in Genesis 24, verse 29. When the servant, please, I'm trying to narrate the story. Then we come to the main concept. At least, you have to track the background. When the servant returned to southern Canaan with Rebecca, Isaac met her and immediately arranged a tent wedding. So the servant, at the end, based on what God revealed to Abraham, he got Rebecca and brought her back. And the Bible is saying that, and Isaac arranged immediate tent wedding. Genesis 24, verse 67. Let's see who stands. Genesis 24, verse 67. It's saying that then Isaac brought her into the tent of Sarah, his mother, and took Rebekah, and she became his wife, and he loved her. So Isaac was comforted after his mother's death. So here is still proving that Sarah was dead before the marriage began. And we think that there was an immediate tent wedding. Immediate arranged tent wedding. Because if you want to understand this better, go and then view the video. Searching for a godly partner. Now I've explained this vividly there, so I won't go deeper. Now we are on the story. Now they married whereby the woman was virgin. So what we read in Genesis 25 verse 21 is saying that Isaac prayed to God on behalf of Rebekah's barrenness, and she conceived twins. So Genesis 25 verse 21. Now, some may think that because the Bible is saying that Isaac prayed for his wife Sarah, Rebekah. It is true, but two are one. Half plus half will be equal to one. That's why I'm saying that, and the two shall be one. Even though the Bible is saying two, but we have one rib and one rib. Once your rib is out, it means you are half. When Adam's rib was taken, he was not a full human being because the rib was gone. And the rib, once your rib is not there, you even find it very difficult to breathe. So half plus half is equal to one. So therefore now they are one. Therefore, if the husband is praying for the wife, he is praying for also himself. Though the Bible is saying that, and Isaac prayed unto God on behalf of Rebekah's barrenness, but he also prayed for himself. After all, he was also born at the later years of his parents. You see. So therefore, I'm sure that he didn't want his future to be same as his parents. Now, Isaac was 40 years of age when he married Rebekah. Genesis 25 verse 20. And Isaac was 40 years old when he took Rebekah, the daughter of Bethuel, the Aramean of Padan Aram. Our interest is that he was 40 years of age when he got married to Rebekah. It was so they married. For 20 years, there was no child, no miscarriage, nothing. Meanwhile, Rebekah was a virgin. And I'm surprised that Isaac did not accuse his father Abraham. He did not accuse the servants who brought Rebekah. Isaac did not also accuse Rebekah herself. Isaac did not also accuse God, but rather he prayed to God. Why? Because he got Rebekah from God. So those of you who go to Market Circle to get your wife from Market Circle, from drinking spots, from television centers, from sports, betting and others, from banks, from everywhere, where will you go when there's a problem? Where will you go when there's a problem? And the wisest thing to do in this life is that when you want to marry or when you want to start to maybe initiate, you will have to first pray to God. The first is that you must pray to God, because Abraham prayed to God first. So he said God first. So if you're going to meet your wife at church, she's beautiful, she comes to church, she helps with church activities and church works. I love this man because he can preach, he sings a song. You are wasting your time. You are wasting your time. Do not be wise in your own eyes. Proverbs 3 verse 5 to 7. Don't be wise in your own eyes. So, because he got Rebekah from God, he also prayed to God. And the woman conceived twins. Now here, Isaac was 60 years. The same Genesis 25 verse 26. Afterward, his brother came out with his hand holding Esau's heel. So his name was called Jacob. Isaac was 60 years old when she bore them. So 40 years when he married, then 20 years later, Esau and Isaac also came to the picture. That's why we're saying that the barren shall be fertile. Now let's try to analyze Esau and Jacob well. Yeah, vividly. Now the Bible calls them Esau and Jacob, but their real names were Hairy and Grasper. Hairy, someone who has hairs, and then Grasper, holder. Now why? Hairy's friend called him Red. We mean Edom, because he was born red. But his parents named him Hairy because his skin was as hairy as that of an animal. Genesis 25 verse 25. Here we are making reference to Esau being the first twin. The first came out red, all his body like a hairy cloak. So they called his name Esau. Esau. Now we are on Jacob. Jacob came out of the womb with his hand firmly attached to Esau's heel. That's why they called him Grasper. Grasper. I think I just read it. Same Genesis 25 verse 26. Grasper. So that's why we say Hairy and Grasper. I suppose this is well elaborated. Now point 2. We are on why we should not worry. Point 2. God will remember, listen to you and open your womb. We are on Genesis 30 verse 22. Here now we are done with the father Isaac. We will go to his son Jacob when he grew. Let's see what happened to Jacob. So 30 verse 22, Genesis actually. Then God remembered Rahel, and God listened to her and opened her womb. The story is emphasizing on Jacob and Rahel, but I'll give you the entire thing of the story. Now, in Haran, Jacob met Rahel. Now here, when he was old, his mother Rebecca told him to go and marry from his brother's house. So in Haran, Jacob met Rahel, whom he befriended at the place where her sheep was waiting to be watered. All right, we move on. In return, he was invited to her father's home. Now the father turned out to be Laban. So Laban was the brother of Rebecca, and I think we just read it that Laban was the brother of Rebecca. All right. So this means that Jacob went to his uncle's house, and his uncle's daughter was Rahel. Fine. Now Jacob struck a deal. So there was a deal between Jacob and then Laban to work 7 years in exchange for Rahel. Yes, he agreed that he loved Rahel and therefore he was going to marry her. Then you have to serve me by becoming the shepherd, and then you are going to serve me for 7 years. Meanwhile, he was paid by Laban. Now, in place of Rahel's services as a shepherdess, Laban received 7 years labor from Jacob because of Jacob's love for Rahel. The time went by so quickly. So Bible is saying that the 7 years was more or less as a 7 days. 7 days actually. Now, on the wedding night, Laban substituted his older daughter Leah for Rahel. She was in veil. So Jacob did not recognize until the next day, before he saw that my in-law has cheated on me. So here we say that cheats are also cheated. You are hereby informed that the same Jacob, he cheated his brother Esau and then went in for a blessing from the blind father Isaac. So he cheated his brother, and here too he was cheated. So he went to his in-law, but the in-law rebuked Jacob that in our custom, the elder sister must marry before the younger one. So Jacob agreed and served for another 7 years, making 14 years before he got Rahel to marry. And Bible is saying that Rahel was beautiful than Leah. So Leah was ugly. Basically, he was ugly. Now, let's try to read something small from Genesis 29 verse 9 up to 30. I won't read everything. So the whole story is what already I've summarized. But let's prove that Rahel was shepherdess. So Genesis 29 verse 9. While he was still speaking with them, Rahel came with her father's sheep, for she was a shepherdess. So if you read and read, you will see that Jacob kissed Rahel. So there was an immediate love. So this means that Rahel was catchy. So Jacob fell in love with her instantly. Therefore, accompanied her to the house, and he was given the work, what he was supposed to do before getting her to marry. So he served 40 years before he got Rahel to marry. Now, when the marriage began between Jacob and then Leah, because of the love for Rahel, God closed the womb of Rahel and opened that of Leah. So Leah gave birth to 4 boys. So they were Reuben, Simeon, Levi, and then Judah. Of course, she began to boast. She began to boast. Maybe that now my husband will love me. The Lord has heard that I am unloved. This was what she said actually. And Rahel became jealous of her own sister Leah. So consequently, Rahel went to attack Jacob. Give me children, or I will die. And Jacob also, in anger, replied that I am not God who has closed your womb. Of course, let's go to Genesis 30, verse 1 and 2. When Rahel saw that she bore Jacob no children, she envied her sister. She said to Jacob, give me children, or I shall die. Verse 2, Jacob's anger was kindled against Rahel, and he said, am I in the place of God who has withheld from you the fruit of the womb? So here, now, if I go to the scriptures, Bible is saying that God closed the womb of Rahel. Go to Genesis 29, verse 31. When the Lord saw that Leah was hated, he opened her womb, but Rahel was barren. So here, there was a partiality, because Jacob's love was for Rahel, not Leah. However, he was cheated. So instead of Rahel, Leah was given to him. So you see that a marriage can exist minus love. So Jacob, he never loved Leah, as seen in the Bible. All his focus was still on Rahel. At God's appointed time, God remembered Rahel and opened her womb. We are on the same Genesis 30, verse 22 to 24. Genesis 30, verse 22. Then God remembered Rahel, and God listened to her and opened her womb. She conceived and bore a son and said, God has taken away my reproach. 24. And she called his name Joseph, saying, may the Lord add to me another son. So this also proves that God intentionally closed the womb of Rahel. Now, if you go to the same Genesis 35, verse 24, it is saying that she gave birth to Joseph and Benjamin. So Genesis 35, verse 24. I love challenge, so I will quote to support all my claims in the Bible. The sons of Rahel, Joseph and Benjamin. Joseph and Benjamin. Now, in summary, you could see that Jacob had different sons from Leah and then Rahel. But upon all of them, he loved Joseph the most. Why? Because of his love for his mother Rahel. So you see, first come first served. So to me, I believe that his first wife was and is Rahel. Therefore, he loved Joseph than all the sons. And this led to the envy why they sold him into slavery. Our interest is not there. I was just trying to prove a point. Now, point 3. Treasure is temporary. Why we should not worry? Because a treasure is temporary. Now, when we say treasure, we mean wealth and riches. They are all temporary. Matthew 6, verse 19. Matthew 6, verse 19. Do not lay up for yourself treasures on earth, where moth and rust destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. Do not worry, because treasure is temporal. Now, anyone who stores up a treasure for himself is not rich towards God. Luke 12, verse 21. Luke 12, verse 21. Okay. So is he who lays up treasure for himself and is not rich toward God. So anyone who stores up treasures for himself, now I want to be rich, I want to own a car, now I want to buy a land, a whole lot, you are not rich toward God. Now in the fleeting value of earthly treasures, in the fleeting value of earthly treasures, even the most expensive wool clothing is food for moths. Now when we say moths, we mean an insect with wings, okay? And this is a similar to butterfly. This insect resembles a butterfly, and it normally flies at night, and it is attracted to light as well. So we're saying that even the most expensive wool, we know wool, W-O-O-L, wool clothing is food for the moths, M-O-T-H-S. Precious coins, colored and rust, priceless jewelry, and tarnishes. Of course, almost all the jewelries are from non-ferrous metals. Though we read in chemistry or material engineering that non-ferrous metals do not corrode and rust. But non-ferrous metals, for example, aluminium, corrodes. But this substance found on the surface is not able to penetrate. Now, for the wedding ring, being copper, silver, or aluminium, it will tarnish with time. So tarnish means to diminish in color. So it needs to be polished periodically. That's why sometimes you see that someone has been married for about 10 years, but the ring is so shiny. The person has sent it to the goldsmith or the jewel maker to polish it. That's why we are saying that the precious coins rust and corrode, and also priceless jewelry tarnishes and can be stolen. Though it's very beautiful, so attractive, but as you have been using for washing, bathing, and a whole lot, in fact, the atmosphere itself will reduce the brightness. So with time, you have to go and buy either a new one or you polish it. It's one. So tarnishing is there. Number two, it can be stolen. Once they see that it is so expensive, you're going to attract thieves. Now, we say that everything in this world is temporary. Nothing is permanent. Nothing is secured in the house made of sun-dried bricks. So you can say blocks, wood or grass. Nothing is secure there. Nothing. No matter your door, thieves can easily break it. So when you are living in a confined or a more secured room, it is by God's grace that the thieves have not located you. But if they want to break in, they will break in and then steal. Sometimes they will even kill the person who owns, especially when you try to struggle with them. Ideally, we don't struggle with thieves. Life goes on, but the Bible says that where your heart is, where your treasure is, that's where your heart will be. So it becomes so difficult for someone to hand over a phone to a thief, or the person has invaded in your home. Where is the money? Simply go, they carry the bag and they give it to them. No, because the person cherishes the money so much and will die. They will kill you and still take the money away. So what is the problem? So the best is that you have to issue it out and then you move on with your life. Alright, now the empty treasure we selfishly hoard. We mean we pile or we store, will be taken from us. But our deeds of kindness, that is giving to the poor or needy, our Christ-like character, our effort to save the lost, and our service in the kingdom of heaven all are investments in eternity. Now, we are saying that all one that we are selfish. Yes, some are so selfish. They only want to eat. They don't want their friends to benefit from what they eat. And upon all what you are gaining through selfish ambition, the person does not want his friend to be where he is. You give them up, when you die, you will die. You will die. And naked you came, so you shall go. I think I mentioned this last week when I was preaching. Naked became, naked we shall go. So all what that we are selfishly piling up, we will give them up. Yesterday I went for a funeral. That's why I couldn't come online. Then my grandmother, anyway, from my mother's side, my first time of carrying a coffin, okay, when the elders gathered, we were to go and carry her from the room and then displayed her in the open. So now I had a coffin. My first time of holding a coffin. And then we were to go to the cemetery. Of course, I helped to carry it into the ambulance, and then I also had to join the ambulance. My first time of also boarding ambulance. In fact, I fear the car itself because the notion is that it is used to carry corpse. I just fear an ambulance car. I don't want to go near it. But yesterday I was in the car. And we were many. So as I sat, my hand lied on the coffin. We reached the cemetery. We carried her. It was at some distance. So we carried her. We went and then we dropped her in the. How do we? I've forgotten the name of where the burial will take place. So I can say there was a room created, okay? There was a room created. I've forgotten the name. In case I remember, I'll tell you. So we placed the head in. The head was supposed to be that side. So here was the legs, and then the forward was the head. Then we were to pour a sand on her. If I was just observing the whole thing, that I will say, Father, for the first time in my life, we carried the coffin in an ambulance. As I sat, we went to the cemetery, and then we put the coffin in the grave. Yes, so the name of our house, the name of the poor and the rich, when we die, is called a grave. And you go in there, in the wood. So my grandmom was buried yesterday. And I stood and I watched while the language of my clan poured a libation, alcohol. He spoke, and then I was also listening. I was standing right beside him. Of course, I wasn't the one performing the act. And then at the end, we were supposed to cover her. Of course, my cousin did the covering. I was just observing my own life when I also died. You see, one day, you see, so in my mind, I said, oh wow, so this means that as I stood here, or as I stand here to watch my grandmom being covered, I was there and then I was observing. So someday, someone too will stand and then pour or cover my grave with sand. So one day I will also be in there, and someone will stand to watch me alive, as I watched my grandmom alive yesterday being cremated. I was so shocked. In fact, I didn't know that. I could be so courageous to go there. But where I am progressing now, at least I'm the eldest of the family. All the family, being the nuclear, I say nuclear, a maternal and a paternal. I'm the eldest among them all. So if you go to my father's side, I'm the eldest among all the children. My father's as a sibling. I'm the eldest. And then my mother's side too, I'm the eldest. So I stand for all of them. So I was there and I was observing. I said, wow, what a life. So all what we are struggling for, we will just go, and then our mansion will be the grave. So therefore, we think that we should not waste time to gather treasure in this life. May God have mercy upon my grandma. Of course, she wasn't a Christian, and that's my worry. All right, we move on to point 4. God will provide redemption for the sudden invasion when we pray hard. God will provide redemption for the sudden invasion when we pray hard. Now, this is a story of the Jehoshaphat being the king, I think a 4th king of Judah. Yes, if my memory will serve me right. 2 Chronicles 20 verse 1 to 29. I will not read everything, but I'm going to paraphrase it. Now, he was there. Okay, he was there. And then a messenger came to tell him that the sons of Moab, Ammon, and Munites have united to war against the kingdom of Judah. He was afraid, so he went to his knees and prayed very hard. Bible is saying he prayed so hard. Let me see if I can read 2 Chronicles 20 verse 3. Let's see something. 2 Chronicles 20 verse 3. Then Jehoshaphat was afraid and set his face to seek the Lord and proclaimed a fast throughout all Judea or all Judah. So he was afraid, I said here, because Moab, Ammon, and the Munites. So 3 solid countries or nearby suburbs have united against Judah. So he prayed, he was afraid, and the first person that he went to was God. And not to the lesser God or the United Satanic leader. He went and prayed to God because he was anxious about the united armies of Moab, Ammon, and the Munites. And the truth is that God also listened to his prayer. Do you know what happened? Now let's go to verse 21 to 25. This I don't want to say it. I will read and then we will all do. So 2 Chronicles 20 verse 21 to 25. It's a nice story, so let's all read and then we will all understand. Verse 21. And when he had taken counsel with the people, he appointed those who were to sing to the Lord and praise him in holy attire, as they went before the army and said, "Give thanks to the Lord, for his steadfast love endures forever." Verse 22. And when they began to sing and praise, the Lord set an ambush against the men of Ammon, Moab, and Mount Seir, who had come against Judah, so that they were rooted. Verse 23. For the men of Ammon and Moab rose against the inhabitants of Mount Seir, devoting them to destruction. And when they had made an end of the inhabitants of Seir, they all had to destroy one another. Verse 24. When Judah came to the watchtower of the wilderness, they looked toward the horde, and behold, there were dead bodies lying on the ground. None had escaped. Verse 25. When Jehoshaphat and his people came to take their spoil, they found among them in great numbers goods, clothing, and precious things, which they took for themselves until they could carry no more. They were 3 days in taking the spoil. It was so much. Now, here in summary, they fought against themselves. So 2 being Moab and then Ammon against Unites. And later was Ammon against Moab. They killed themselves. So basically, God caused confusion between them or among them. This was when the king prayed to God first. Now we continue. Now, so below was the benefits King Jehoshaphat received from his trouble. 1, if you go to, we are on 2 Chronicles 20. So verse 2 to 5, his prayer and friendship with God became better. His prayer and friendship with God became better. That is verse 3 to 5. If you go to verse 12, we are saying that his trust in God became stronger. Now go to verse 17 of 2 Chronicles 20. His comprehension of God increased. He then understood God properly. Then the last one, his love for God increased. Verse 27 and verse 28. Now, the last part of why we should not worry. God will deliver the afflicted and the persecuted. Now, Daniel 3, verse 1 to 30. Now, if you want the story, you can go to verse 27, 23 to 27. It's a story about King Nebuchadnezzar, who built for himself gold image. At times they say golden image, but in the Bible we see gold image. Gold image. So he built for himself this gold image, and then he instructed that upon hearing the trumpets, all must bow and then worship his man-made God. I'm coming. I want to read the beginning and then at least you all know. I want to prove some mathematics there. So Daniel 3, verse 1. Once again, please, I want to check my camera in case everything is ongoing. Sorry. Okay, so I can continue. So as I said, God will provide, or God will deliver, the persecuted and then the afflicted. So Daniel 3, verse 1 to 30. But I will start with the verse 1 and then we move on. King Nebuchadnezzar made an image of gold, whose height was 60 cubits and its breadth 6 cubits. He set it upon the plain of Dura in the province of Babylon. So you can read and read and read. You will see that we have Meshach, Shadrach, and then Abednego. They refused to bow down to worship this image. And they even said that even if God will not deliver them, they will not bow down to worship the image. So they were determined to die based on their faith. And this made the king so angry. So he charged his men to increase the furnace. And they were to increase it, I think, 7 times to make it more hotter. Now, as they were going to put the tray in the furnace, the pollution, we call it heat pollution. Heat pollution was if they didn't even enter. The guards who were going to put a Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego into the furnace, they were burned by the furnace's heat pollution. If you want, you can say vapor. So these 3 were in there, and at the end, their clothes, they couldn't find even a single spot in their clothes. This means that they were not burned. They were delivered through God's intervention. Now, let's see the statue. The Bible is saying that it measured 60 cubits and then 6 cubits. So we can say height and then the width. So the height was 60 cubits. So let's see. Now, by calculation, okay, we're saying that 1 cubit is equal to 18 inches. 1 cubit is equal to 18 inches. If a cubit was an imperial measurement used during the ancient days, so 1 cubit was equal to, or is equal to 18 inches. So therefore, we multiply 60 by 18 and we get 1,080 inches. So 1,080 inches, we divide it by 12 because we are dealing with inches here. So we divide it by 12 and now we get 90 feet. So the height of the gold image was and is 90 feet. Now we are on the width. So 1 cubit is equal to 18 inches. So 18 times 6. And then I think we will get 108. Yes, we will get 108 inches. We divide it by 12 and we get 9 feet. So you see that it was 90 inches tall, and then the width was 9 feet. So we can have this as 1 foot. So you see that even then, so it means it was huge. So huge that wherever you are, you will see it. From down to up was a whole 90 feet. Then the size, the width was 9 feet. So it was big and tall. That's why he said that by the sound of the trumpet, each must bow. So which means that whether you are on a mountain or you are, wherever you are or you were, they were supposed to see it because it was erected at where everyone will see it. Look, you are hereby informed that he was challenging God. Nebuchadnezzar was trying to challenge God because in the Ten Commandments, Exodus 20 verse 1 to 7, thou shalt not worship any other god. So the king was trying to challenge God. Now, if you go to verse 10 and 11, he said, whoever hears the sound from horn, flute, must bow down to worship or be cast into the furnace of blazing fire. Blazing fire. So continuum burning. Now 12 and 14 is saying that Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, of course, they were Jews. They resisted to worship the idol. And this got the king so angry. Therefore, he ordered for them to verify whether it was true that they have refused. You see, he wasn't convinced when the guys told them that, but these 3 men refused to bow down. So he sent them for clarification. Hey, young man, was it true that then they said yes. They said, okay, you with them coming. So the king commanded them to fall down and worship the idol at the sound of the horn, or be immediately thrown into the middle of the blazing fire. For there is no God to save them. You see this in verse 15. So which means in his own presence, initially he was not there, but now he has confirmed that they were stubborn. Now, when they were in presence of the king, he made them sound, or the trumpet and others were sounded, and then they refused to bow down. So verse 18, they told him frankly that they will never serve his idol, even if God abandoned them. Now verse 19 to 21, so this was a challenge between the 3 men of Jews and then the king. And you can imagine challenging the king. So verse 19 to 21 is saying that he was so furious and disfigured his face towards the terrain, gave an order to increase the heat to 7 times the usual. So as I mentioned earlier, the flame was increased by 7 times. They were tied in their clothes by brave warriors and threw them in the middle of the blazing fire. Now verse 22 is saying that the brave men were burnt by the heat pollution. They even didn't go near. As they approached, then they were burned. Go to verse 23 to 25. It's saying that though they were still tied up in the fire, but This amazed the king when they became 4. And the 4th resembled son of a god. Now, verse 26 to 29 is saying that the king called them. So, let's read something here. Daniel 3, verse 26 to 29. Then Nebuchadnezzar came near to the door of the burning fiery furnace. He declared, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, servants of the Most High God, come out and come here. Then Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came out of the fire. Verse 27. And the satraps, the prefects, the governors, and the king's counselors gathered together and saw that the fire had not had any power over the bodies of those men. The hair of their heads was not singed, their clothes were not harmed, and no smell of fire had come upon them. Verse 20. Nebuchadnezzar answered and said, Blessed be the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who has sent his angel and delivered his servants, whom trusted in him, and set aside the king's command, and yielded up their bodies rather than serve and worship any god except their own God. Except their own God. Verse 29. Therefore I make a decree. Therefore the I there is the king. Therefore I make a decree. Any people, nation, or language that speaks anything against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego shall be torn limb from limb, and their houses laid in ruins. For there is no other God who is able to rescue in this way. Then, verse 30, the king promoted Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the province of Babylon. In the province of Babylon. That's why we think that God will deliver the afflicted and the persecuted. Now, if you go to Psalm 34, verse 19, it is saying that the righteous may have troubles, but God delivers him from them all. The righteous may have troubles, but God delivers him from them all. If you go to 2 Timothy 3, verse 12, it is saying that you will be persecuted for living a godly life in Christ Jesus. So they were persecuted for trusting in God. Now see the futility of worry. 1. Worry hinders our spiritual growth. Matthew 13, verse 22. Matthew 13, verse 22. Matthew 13, verse 22. He who received seed among the thorns is he who hears the word, and he worries of this world, and the deceitfulness of riches choke the word, and he becomes unfruitful. Worry hinders our spiritual growth. Now, in Jesus' parable of the sower, the thorny soil represents the man who worries. We mean he cares for the things of the world, or he cares for the world and the deceitfulness of riches. That's why we have it, a thorny soil. It means worry. Now, worry chokes out the good news about Christ and stands or arrests our spiritual growth. It keeps us from bearing fruit and yielding to God. St. Matthew 13, verse 23. But he who received seed sown on the good ground is he who hears the word and understands it. He indeed bears fruit and brings forth some 100-fold, some 60, some 30. Now, point 2. Worry leads to little faith. Matthew 14, verse 31. Matthew 14, verse 31. So we say that worry, we are looking at the futility of worry. We are on the point C, being the last point. And then we conclude. So we say that worry leads to little faith. Matthew 14, verse 31. And immediately Jesus stretched out his hand and caught him and said to him, "Oh, you of little faith, why did you doubt?" So he said that the Greek compound word translated little faith is oligopistos. Oligopistos, which denotes lacking confidence. Lacking confidence. So little faith is found 5 times in the Gospels. So let's prove. A, in Matthew 6, verse 30. If God clothes or clothes a perishable grass, then how much more is? In Matthew 6, verse 30. So little faith is found in Matthew 6, verse 30. I will read. Therefore, if God so clothes the grass of the field, which today is and tomorrow is cast into the oven, will he not much more clothe you, O you of little faith? So we have seen one little faith here. I said it is found 5 times in the Gospels. So this is one. Now second one is found in Luke 12, verse 28. As we just read from Matthew, same thing. Luke 12, verse 28. I read. If God then so clothes the grass that is today and in the field, and tomorrow is thrown into the oven, how much more will he clothe you, O you of little faith? O you of little faith. Now, we go to the same Matthew 8, verse 23 to 26, but our interest will be on the 26th. So Jesus calms the storm for the apostles from drowning. So little faith, and number 3, is found in Matthew 8, verse 26. As I said, begin from verse 23. Matthew 8, sorry. Matthew 8, verse 23. Matthew 8. Sorry, I was in Mark, sorry. Matthew 8, verse 26. Okay. And he said to them, "Why are you fearful, O you of little faith?" So if you read from the verse 23, you see that. Let's read. And when he entered into a boat, his disciples followed him. 24. And behold, there arose a great storm on the sea, so that the boat was covered with the waves, but he was asleep. Verse 25. And his disciples came to him and woke him, saying, "Lord, save us, we are perishing." So he had to rebuke them that they had a little faith. Now, point 4, they say Matthew 14, verse 31. So Jesus mildly rebuked Peter's doubts. Matthew 14, verse 21. And those who had 31, sorry. 14, verse 31, sorry. And immediately Jesus stretched out his hand and caught him and said to him, "O you of little faith, why did you doubt?" Why did you doubt? And then the last is seen in Matthew 16, verse 8. Matthew 16, verse 8. I read. But Jesus, aware of this, said to them, "O you of little faith, why do you reason among yourselves because you have no bread?" So here was when he fed. He had to remind them. So the apostles worried about carrying no bread. And Jesus had to remind them that, have you forgotten that I fed the 5,000 people with 5 loaves of bread? So he was trying to remind them. Now, point 3. Worry assumes that God is ignorant of his people's needs, lacks the power to meet their needs, or does not care about them to meet their needs. So once you are worried, when you are in trouble, means that God is ignorant. So he has forsaken you and he doesn't care for you anymore. Let's go to Philippians 4 verse 19. Philippians 4 verse 19. 4:19. But my God will supply all your need according to his riches in glory in Christ. Yes, that's what he's saying, that when you worry much, it means you try to underestimate God. In summary of my point 3, you try to underestimate God. Yeah, seriously. You are in trouble. He knows that you are in trouble. So do not worry. Once you begin to worry, that means that you have underestimated him. As I was saying, and then I said earlier, I needed a microphone to record, and someone had bought me free rainbow. You call it a 3.4. So latest, perfect sound, everything. I went to this shop 2 months ago. It was 490 Ghana cedis. I couldn't buy it, so I returned. I didn't worry. I just kept on announcing that people can help through donation. I mean, some have been giving money to buy data. So this person also went and bought it. They gave it to me and said that he is also giving it to me as a support of my preaching. So why should I worry? Why should I worry? So this means that if I had doubted in Christ, it means that he will not have maybe caused this person to go and buy me the earbud. That's why we're saying that worry assumes that God is ignorant of his people's needs. God is never deaf to our cry. He knows what we need before we even ask. And once we pray to him or we announce it, he will find someone, a delegate. Then he provides for us. So now I have no need in terms of the airport. Now, worry is an expression of doubt in God's knowledge, strength, or compassion. He has everything. He provides everything. So do not worry. Now, 4. Worry creates hypertension. Worry, as we said earlier in the introduction, it means that people could not even sleep at night. And when you have a troublesome night, you have a troublesome day. Always you are angry because you couldn't sleep at midnight, which means you couldn't rest. So therefore, during the day, you are so aggressive. And too much anger itself will lead to hypertension. That's why we say that it creates hypertension and other emotion-induced illnesses that hasten the onslaught. It means you die early. You die. When you say onslaught, you mean sudden and then severe onset of trouble. And you see that you are always not feeling happy. So therefore, by emotion, sometimes you can even fall ill and then you die. The example is the hypertension. So we say that the onslaught of old age and brings us to our early grave. My grandmom, they gave her 90 years. But from what my uncle was saying, she was 105. 105. But they gave her 90 years. So we don't know who sat and then gave her the 90 years. So which means that her real age is between 100 and 105. You see, at least she has even surpassed the 70 years given to us from God in Psalms 89 verse 48 and then Psalm 90 verse 10, that a lifespan of every human being is 70 years. Even if she was 90 years, at least you see that she didn't go into into an early grave. So please, we're saying that this same worry can kill you faster. Once you get hypertension, it is you are prone to death. Okay, so I said last, but we have D here. How to overcome worry. 1. Avoid comparison. Avoid comparison. As you saw with Leah and then Rahel. Rahel was angry because her womb was closed, and then Leah's own was open, therefore she was giving birth, and then there was a jealousy there. Now 2 Corinthians 10 verse 12. So this is a correction to Rahel and then even Leah, because Leah was mocking Rahel, and in return Rahel too was angry. So we see some jealousy there. So the correction to the sisters is found in 2 Corinthians 10 verse 12. I read 10 verse 12. 10 verse 12. Okay. For we dare not class or compare ourselves with those who commend themselves, but they, measuring themselves by themselves and comparing themselves among themselves, are not wise. So you could see that Leah was commending herself. He was self-praising herself that the Lord has opened my womb. And Bible here is saying that Rahel was supposed to be reasonable enough, that Leah was not wise, because we find this a comparison or self-appraisal with those who are not wise. This is what the text is saying, that for we dare not class or compare ourselves with those who commend themselves. So don't compare ourselves with them. People who boast of what they have. God is saying that do not compare to them, but they, measuring themselves by themselves and comparing themselves among themselves, are not wise. So avoid comparison. 2. Cultivate contentment. 1 Timothy 6 verse 6. Cultivate contentment. Rahel was discontent, and here the Bible is saying that you and I must cultivate contentment. But godliness with contentment is great gain. So 1 Timothy 6 verse 6 is saying that we should cultivate contentment. Cast all your anxiety on him because he cares for you. 1 Peter 5 verse 7. 1 Peter 5 verse 7. Casting all your care on him, for he cares for you. Do not be anxious about anything. Philippians 4 verse 6 is saying that be anxious for nothing. Be anxious for nothing. Let me see if you can find it. I'll read it to you. Philippians 4 verse 6. Be anxious for nothing. Do not be anxious for anything, but in everything by prayer and supplication with thanksgiving, let your request be made known to God. This was what Abraham did to God, same as Isaac. Pray to God and be anxious for nothing. God will provide. Point 5. God will provide. Luke 12 verse 24. Luke 12 verse 24. 12 verse 24. Consider the ravens, for they neither sow nor reap. They have neither storehouse nor barn, and God feeds them. How much more valuable are you than the birds? God will provide. If you go to Psalms 22 verse 26, and also same Psalms 107 verse 9. So Psalm 22 verse 26. Psalms 22 verse 26. The afflicted shall eat and be sorry, I repeat. The afflicted shall eat and be satisfied. Those who seek him shall praise the Lord. May your heart live forever. I repeat. The afflicted shall eat and be satisfied. Those who seek him shall praise the Lord. May your heart live forever. The same Psalms. Let's go to 107 verse 9. For he satisfies the longing soul. You can say the longing soul. And the hungry soul he fills with good things. I repeat. Psalm 107 verse 9. For he satisfies the longing soul, and the hungry soul he fills with good deeds. With good deeds. So I'm giving you 5 reasons why we should not worry. So conclusion and then application. 1. Do not worry about tomorrow. Matthew 6 verse 34. Matthew 6 verse 34. Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will care for itself. Sufficient for the day is its own trouble. Do not worry about tomorrow. Now the Greek word for tomorrow here is Orion. Orion. And it's used as a figure of speech to describe the future. Not about 24 hours a day or 24 hours a day. No. As I said, figure of speech. And this is describing the future. So tomorrow here is the future and not about. So now it is 2:24. So tomorrow they say that 2:24 is 1 day. No. So the Bible is not describing 24-hour day, but rather the future. Do not worry about tomorrow. So the Greek word there is Orion, which is used as a figure of speech to describe the future, not necessarily a 24-hour day. 2. God will redeem us if we perpetuate in the faith and believe in him. Daniel 3 verse 10 to 29, as we read about the 3 brothers, Shadrach, Meshach, and then Abednego. They were steadfast in the faith, and God redeemed them because they continued in the faith and believed in him. Now, if you go to Isaiah 43 verse 2, it is saying that when you walk through the fire, you will not be scorched, or the flame burn you. If you go to Hebrews 12 verse 29, it is saying that, for there is no other consuming fire except God. So you see what Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego had in mind. Why they didn't fear the fiery furnace fire or the blazing fire. Why they didn't fear? 1, because the Bible is saying in Isaiah 43 verse 2 that when you walk through the fire, you will not be scorched or the flame burn you. That's 1. 2, for there is no other consuming fire except God. Hebrews 12 verse 20. So they knew that fire there wasn't anything, a mere man-made fire, artificial. And only God can consume them. God made the fire. God can quench it. God will change bitter situation into sweet. Let's go to Exodus 15, verse 22 to 24. I will read for my listeners' sake, and then later I will explain. Then Moses made Israel set out from the Red Sea, and they went into the wilderness of Shur. They went 3 days in the wilderness and found no water. Verse 23. When they came to Marah, they could not drink the water of Marah because it was bitter. Therefore it was named Marah. Verse 24. And the people grumbled against Moses. What shall we drink? Verse 25. And he cried to the Lord. And the Lord showed him a log, you mean a small broken tree. And he threw it into the water, and water became sweet. There, the Lord made for them a statue and a rule, and there he rested them. So the interest is that if you go to the same Exodus 15 verse 20, you see that when they crossed the Red Sea, Prophetess Miriam, a sister of Aaron, he played instruments to celebrate the victory of Israel over the Egyptians, King Pharaoh and then his army. So they began to travel on deserts, and for 3 days there was no water, and then the first that they found was so bitter, and God changed the bitter water into sweet water. That's why we're saying that God will change your bitter situation into sweet. Now, the last point, the new way is the way of faith. The cause of anxiety is little faith. Yes. The new way is the way of faith. The cause of anxiety is little faith. The cure for anxiety is trust in God. Trust in God is the key to overcoming worry. Psalm 34 verse 10b. 1 Chronicles 16 verse 11. I repeat. The new way is the way of faith. The cause of anxiety is little faith. The cure for anxiety is trust in God. Trust in God is the key to overcoming worry. Psalm 34 verse 10b, and then 1 Chronicles 16 verse 11. I'll try to read 1 Chronicles 16 verse 11. Seek the Lord and his strength. Seek his presence continually. Seek his presence continually. Psalms 34 verse 10b. But those who seek the Lord lack no good thing. But those who seek the Lord lack no good thing. Why worry? Why worry? So this brings us to the end of the teaching, why worry. I thank God for speaking through me, and I thank all those who joined and who will view it later. I'll come to you next week, but I don't know what I'll present, but to be teaching. So on Saturday between 11 to 1, I'll come and preach live by God's grace. Until then, thank you so much. My name is Joseph Vata. This is Mining for the Truth, which refers to the process of digging to discover the undiluted doctrines of Christ, our Church of Christ. Bye bye.